English for engineering.
Tiếng Anh ngành kỹ thuật.
7.1 A.
Next week they're due to start maintenance work on the grain silos in Zone 4. We need to make sure that everyone's aware that all those silos are classed as confined spaces. In other words, no one should go inside them without first doing an air test. And we need to keep a check on dust levels as well.
We've got a CO2 detector here, haven't we? B.
If you walk past that machine while it's running and you're trying to talk to someone, you have to shout to be heard. And as a rule of thumb, that means it should be an ear protection area.
Yeah, but the regs differentiate between brief exposure, when you're walking past something, and continuous exposure, don't they? C. So, is it harmful if it splashes on your skin?
According to the notice, it's an irritant and it's toxic.
But it's not corrosive.
Not as far as I'm aware.
So you don't need gloves and eye protection and masks and all the rest of it? If you get any on your skin, you just wash it off.
I'm not sure about that.
D.
We need to inquire whether or not this maintenance involves welding. There are forklift trucks going through that area carrying flammable liquids. If there are going to be any naked flames or sparks, we'll need to put a proper procedure in place.
Right, I'll get in touch with their people then. 7.2
So in terms of access, theoretically, there's a risk of someone falling as they climb up a silo or down into one. But there's always an external staircase with a guardrail leading to the top, and there are permanent ladders with protective hoops around them, fixed to the insides, leading down to the bottom. So workers should be able to access these silos fairly safely. The big problem will be getting the welding equipment, the gas bottles, down into the bottom.
Now, they can be lowered down by rope.
Won't they be too heavy?
Not if they use the smaller sized bottles.
We'll need to specify the bottle size in the procedure then.
Yeah, they'll have to take care that the bottles don't fall onto someone as well, that no one's standing in the bottom of the silo while they lower them down.
True. That's another point to mention. Okay, so access isn't really a problem then. The main danger is the fact that it's a confined space, especially given that they're welding with an oxyacetylene torch burning, which will produce a fair amount of CO2.
So they'll need a CO2 detector.
I mean, to be safe, they'll need to test the air before they go down anyway. But we should probably specify that they need to keep the detector with them while they're working and keep it switched on.
Yeah. Another hazard is there'll be metal fumes given off as they're actually welding, which is a different problem to the CO2 issue.
Sure. So really, they'll need a ventilation system down there, some kind of air extractor.
Probably, yeah. And there's the problem of dust as well. They'll have to be very careful about that. If they're welding and there's grain dust in the air, there's going to be an explosion hazard.
Yeah. Would a ventilator clear the dust or make it worse? I suppose if there's a lot lying around, it'd keep blowing it up into the air, wouldn't it?
I'm not sure.
7.3
Restricted areas are places where a serious danger is present, so it's essential that these should be kept locked at all times. Under no circumstances should anyone be able to access them unless they have a permit to work. In other words, a written form giving permission to work in the restricted area.
And the permits to work and the keys to restricted areas can only be issued by the electrical supervisor?
That's right. So that one individual is responsible for electrical safety for the whole plant. Only that person is authorized to issue permits to work.
Presumably, it's important that permits are issued every single time someone enters a restricted area. Each time they do a new job, they need a new permit.
Exactly. They shouldn't be issued for any longer than a full shift.
Okay.
And it's crucial that there's just a single key to each restricted area. The whole idea of having a lockout system is to ensure that only one person has access to switchgear at any given time. So whatever happens, someone cannot switch on a circuit at a switchboard while somebody else is working on it somewhere else in the plant.
If we imagine a technician needs to, let's say they're going to change a motor on one of the lines, they get a permit to work and obtain the key to the switchboard from the electrical supervisor. Then they take the key, unlock the door to the switchboard, switch off the circuit breaker for the motor to isolate it, then lock the door again.
That's right. Then, while they're working, it's vital that they keep the key on them continuously.
7.4.
The main hazard when maneuvering a helicopter close to power lines is the risk of a collision with the line. So before commencing work, it's essential for the crew to have detailed information about weather conditions, especially wind direction and speed. Operating in very windy weather is obviously out of the question. The pilots involved in live line work are highly trained and experienced, and their expertise is arguably the crucial factor in ensuring safety. Another hazard is snagging, as at certain times the platform will momentarily be attached to the power line and to the helicopter, leaving the aircraft tethered. It's essential, therefore, that the cable is equipped with a tension release mechanism, so that if the helicopter pulls away suddenly for any reason, the cable can break free. To prevent electrocution and burns from arcing currents, the crew on the platform wear hot suits. These have stainless steel threads which channel the electricity around the technician's body, allowing the 400,000-volt supply to flow between the power line and the platform. The suits also have a fireproof lining to provide protection from heat. And eye protection is worn as a protection against flashes from electric arcs. Again, training is one of the key factors in ensuring safety. As a precaution against mechanical failure, the suspension cable, platform, and all associated equipment are systematically inspected before each operation to check for damage. And the helicopter is maintained in line with aviation regulations. One additional precaution is taken regarding the helicopter's engines. Only twin-engine craft are used for live line work, so that if an engine fails, the pilot can still land safely.
7.5.
The focus of the course will be on your personal obligations in terms of looking after your own safety and the safety of others. That means we'll be focusing on specific safety regulations. For instance, we'll be looking at personal protective equipment that's compulsory, or activities that are prohibited in certain areas, such as smoking. The majority of the obligations we'll deal with are legal requirements. In other words, they're stipulated by law as part of health and safety legislation. If you contravene these kinds of regulations, it's not the same as turning up for work late or merely breaching your contract of employment in some way. If someone fails to comply with health and safety regs, they're breaking the law. It's as simple as that. I'm sure you're all aware of that, but it is an important point to emphasise.
7.6. 1.
If there's a fire, you shouldn't use water extinguishers on this machine, because it contains electrical circuits and it can cause electrocution. You should only use a carbon dioxide extinguisher.
2.
When you lift this machine, it's essential that you should only use the 2 lifting eyes marked in red. No other parts of the frame are load-bearing, so you mustn't use them as anchor points.
3.
You should take care when you're cleaning below the guillotine blade, because there's a danger that the blade could come down. Before you clean it, you should always set the control lever in the blade-locked position. And you should wear protective gloves while you are cleaning it, because the sump below the blade can contain sharp metal offcuts.
Ngoại ngữ chuyên ngành.com